All right, so we're back here on another special Couch Coach Live. We got our guy Zach from the Bluebloods. What's going on, Zach?
What's going on, man? Hope you had a good holidays. Hope everyone watching had a good holidays. And man, I'm excited to finally be at the college football playoffs, man. We're finally here. Been waiting for this all season long, and I'm just really hoping that COVID doesn't take it away from us.
Yes, and we are just merely hours away from it, so we're hoping that everything is good. And I am by far as a single male, I am excited that these games are on New Year's Eve. I remember the complaint, especially when it was first birth, it was a lot of people had the issue with, oh, I got such and stuff going on. And I just love the fact that this year it falls on actual on New Year's Eve, so that's a great way, especially with the climate that we're in. This encourages us to kind of just lay low, watch some football, and like Herbie said it best, plan accordingly. So definitely, so the New Year's Eve party is going to start really early this year, most definitely.
Yeah, for sure, man. And listen, I don't think there's anything going on New Year's Eve that I'm going to be doing above watching these games, man. I'm really excited
Yeah.
for them.
Yes, I have to plan accordingly. Like I make sure all my chores and everything are done by 3:30 because I'm tuning in the entire time. Like that's not gonna be no, no, just oh, I need it. This gonna be one of the games that I'm gonna do everything my ripping and running. No, I'm gonna do all my ripping and running. What I need to do, if I could cook or or if I'm gonna get something to eat, order that in, have it done by 3:30 because in other words, we'll be done for the year at 3:30 on Friday. So don't expect anything from me or Zach or anybody who loves college
Mhm.
football at this point. So that'll be a warning. But yeah, most definitely. So we're here at the college football semifinal of the playoffs. We got Alabama versus Cincinnati, and then we also got Michigan versus Georgia. So we got two great matchups to end the year. So, what are your biggest storylines that you see going forward in the semifinals?
I think the obvious one to me has to be the whole group of five. Can a group of five team finally do it? I mean, you're looking at if Cincinnati can get through Alabama, Michigan, and Georgia. I mean, that would be huge just for the whole group of five as a whole. I mean, for the AAC, Sun Belt, whoever you want to look at. So I think the group of five storyline is probably going to be the biggest. Can Luke Fickell bring a national championship to Cincinnati? If he can, they might as well rebuild the stadium and have monuments of him all around that stadium. Him, Desmond Ritter, Jerome Ford, Ahmad Sauce Gardner. And then there's also two coaches with a lot to prove. One a little bit more than the other, but the storyline is, can Jim Harbaugh finally get it done? Can he win the big one? He was brought to Michigan to bring them back to national prominence. And I give a lot of credit to Harbaugh because this offseason, he bet on himself. He said, listen, you guys can take years off my contract. You could take money away, decrease my buyout, all this stuff. I trust myself enough to go win a national title. Well, he wins the Big Ten, finally beats Ohio State, and now he has Michigan in prime position to go win a national title. And on the other side, you have Kirby Smart, who now the narrative's starting to get rolling that he can't get it done. He won the SEC in 2017, ended up losing to Alabama in the national championship. There's a lot of talk. Can Georgia get over the hump? Again, they have not won a national title since 1980. So it's been a long time coming in Athens. So I think those are probably the biggest storylines. And then finally, if you're looking for a storyline for Alabama, it's, can Nick Saban do the unthinkable and win his 8th national championship of his career? He's going at the mark where him and Tom Brady are setting the bar so high for rings in their respective sports that I don't know if anyone's ever going to be able to come close to touching either of them. So props to Nick Saban, what he does, and it's greatness versus the underdogs throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, he's setting the bar so high to a point where it's affecting other SEC type teams everywhere because everybody's expecting whoever gets hired as the next Nick Saban, and like you said, it's almost like an embarrassment of riches on his end, but also it's a cascading effect.
I agree, man.
Yeah, and the next question I wanted to ask essentially, does Cincinnati have a shot now? Not more so preface this in the sense of we look at just previous matches. Obviously, like last year, we looked at Alabama versus Notre Dame in the semifinal. Everybody thought Notre Dame didn't have a shot, and you know what? Dating back to when Washington was in it, people looked at it from that standpoint, and then also I think in 2015 was Michigan State when they played Michigan State in 15 going to 16. So compared to those three teams that we kind of talked about in the previous, from the historical sense, does Cincinnati legitimately have a shot?
I think so. I mean, and I'm not saying that doesn't mean they won't get blown out or anything like that. Because I mean, if Georgia blows out Michigan, I don't think anyone can go back and say Michigan didn't have a shot in that game, or vice versa. If Georgia gets blown out, I think they'd have a shot. I mean, I don't think the point spread is as high as some people thought. Only 13.5. I thought a lot of people thought it was going to be pushing 20 by game time, and it doesn't look like it's going to do that. And I was talking to some people about this game that are in Tuscaloosa, and I mean, there's a lot of Alabama fans that aren't concerned, but there's a lot of Cincinnati fans out there and Alabama fans that are a little that Cincinnati fans think they can win this game, and there's some Bama fans that are like, if we overlook them, they remember the Utah game. They remember some of these SEC teams, like Florida overlooking Louisville. You never can overlook your opponent in the playoffs, and you can say whatever you want about Cincinnati, and we've heard it. I mean, even at our network, they haven't played anybody. The strength of schedule isn't there. They don't have the same type of athlete. Well, they're undefeated. They beat a number 5 Notre Dame team by double digits on the road when Notre Dame was fully healthy. This team has competed. They only lost by 3 to Georgia last year. This team has been in the fire. They're a senior-ridden team. They have a lot of experience, a head coach that has turned down probably every Power 5 job in the past 2 years. So this team isn't going to be afraid. They're not going in there thinking they're the underdog. Cincinnati's going into this game thinking they have a shot to win, and that's half the battle. And so for me, I think Cincinnati absolutely has a shot. Should they be the favorites? Absolutely not, because what Nick Saban and Alabama have done over the past 10 years has been astounding. But to say that they have no shot, I think is short-sighted in terms of analyzing this game.
Nice, yeah, big time. So out of the 2 semifinal games that we got here, which individual matchups are you looking forward to seeing?
Oh man, I don't like. Okay, we can do it individual, but I think it's a group thing, man, too, because I think Jamison Williams versus Sauce Gardner is going to be. I'm talking about probably I called it on my show the best matchup I've seen all year positionally. And I challenge anyone to find something different, because you probably have the number 1 corner in the upcoming draft class going up against arguably the best or one of the best wide receivers in the upcoming draft class in Jamison Williams. And Mechie being hurt probably means they will see each other almost every single snap. Because now you got a bunch of young guys behind Williams that now can match up on a Kobe Bryant, a Forrest, and etc. So for me, I think Williams versus Sauce Gardner is going to be the thing. And people who don't know who Sauce Gardner is, this guy's allowed less than 120 yards receiving this year, 0 touchdowns in his career, less than 6 yards per catch, and quarterbacks against him when throwing his direction have a 20.3 QB rating. That's elite production. He's long, he's rangy, he's fast. This kid's like 6'2", 6'3". But on the other side, it's a perfect matchup because Williams is a deep threat that absolutely can get behind your defense, where he's got over 1,400 yards, averaging over 21 yards per catch and 15 receiving touchdowns. I think the individual matchup you have to look for is Jamison Williams versus Sauce Gardner. And I think the DBs of Cincinnati versus the wide receivers of Bama and Bryce Young is going to be huge, because you also have Kobe Bryant. 15 plays on the ball while only allowing 3 touchdowns. Their safety, Brian Cook, is in the top 10 in the country in coverage grade this season. Javon Hicks, Arquan Bush, all these guys have elite production, and they're upperclassmen. And now you have Jamison Williams leading a group of very inexperienced wide receivers without Mechie for Alabama out of Tuscaloosa. So I think that matchup is going to be. I mean, I'm getting excited and like goosebumps just even talking about it.
Yeah. Big time. So we talked about some matchups. Any like I know we did mention some individual players as well. Any other individual players that you watching as well?
I think Desmond Ritter for Cincinnati is going to be such a big piece. I mean, because as we know, man, we've watched Alabama over the years. The number one thing you have to do to beat them is have a dynamic playmaking quarterback. He is going to have to be the X factor this weekend, and he's the winningest quarterback in the FBS right now, and he's going to have to show every bit of that. He's the two-time AAC Player of the Year, was a top 10 Heisman finisher. This guy's done it all, over 3,100 passing yards this year, over 36 total touchdowns. He's done it all. So I think, of course, he's a player to watch. And, we've spent a lot of time talking about, the Alabama Cincinnati game. For Michigan, though, I think the X factor on that side is Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo, man. Those two edge rushers for Michigan. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson gets his due, but he overshines what David Ajabo brings off that edge for Michigan. They both are the number 1 and 2 sack leaders in the Big Ten off the same team, man. Ajabo 11 sacks, Hutchinson 14 sacks, and Ajabo has 23 QB hurries and 5 forced fumbles. Both of them ranked top 15 in the country in sacks. I think Ajabo and Hutchinson, if they can help this front seven stop Georgia's run game and they can terrorize Stetson Bennett, Georgia's going to be in a world of hurt, in my opinion. So I think that is going to be a key. Those are two guys that probably have the biggest impact on whether Michigan can pull this game off or not.
Nice. All right. So out of the semifinal matchups, who do you see as the unsung hero? Who's going to be, I'll put it this way, the Tua? Who's going to be the Tua Tagovailoa, the one guy that we're going to see that's going to emerge potentially in this in these semifinal games?
Man, I really wish I would have saved Ajabo for that one. But if I had to go, I'll go one for each team. For Georgia, if Georgia wins and it's an unsung hero, I think everyone talks about Zamir White and George Pickens. I think James Cook is going to be a guy you're going to have to watch. He's really the more explosive option. Of course, younger brother of Dalvin Cook, so we know that the kid can play because we see what Dalvin's doing in the NFL, and he looks and he runs just like him. I mean, it looks like they just perfect replica of how Dalvin runs. But over 600 rushing yards, over 6 yards per carry, 7 rushing touchdowns, and he's a receiving threat with 3 receiving touchdowns. I think James Cook would be the unsung hero for Georgia because I do think that what he offers is a more versatile attack against this Georgia front. I'm going to still stick with Ajabo. I think Ajabo and Blake Corum are going to be the two unsung guys for Michigan. Corum, of course, being the more explosive rushing guy for Michigan, right there behind Hassan Haskins. I think Corum's big playability is going to be important because you're not going to just be able to walk Georgia down the field. We saw what Bama had to do, hit some explosive plays. You're going to need to get Corum involved in that. Now, for Cincinnati, I'm going to go Jerome Ford, man. Jerome Ford over 1,200 yards rushing this year, over 6 yards per carry, 19 rushing touchdowns. This guy is an Alabama transfer too, so it's his revenge game for him. I think if you're going to find him motivated, it will be in this game. So I think right now I'm going to go with Jerome Ford for Cincinnati and Alabama. Oh, an unsung hero. That's hard, man, because with Mechie out, I think it could be a bunch of people, but I'm going to go with Ja'Cory Brooks for this one. He's the guy who made the touchdown catch to send the Auburn game into overtime. He stepped into that game due to Jamison Williams being ejected for targeting. I think right now Ja'Cory Brooks has the best chance to be the unsung hero and step perfectly. You use the Tua role. He's going to step perfectly into that Alabama unsung hero role. He's going to have a big game because he's got a tough matchup this upcoming Friday and against Kobe Bryant and some of those secondary DBs.
Yeah, big time. And shout out to Kobe Bryant. He's gonna rock the number 8. So definitely.
I texted my co-host Brandon. I was like, Cincy by 1,000. There's no way you can do that and not win by 1,000.
Correct. Right. And I said the same thing. I was like, whoa, I love that he's doing that. I definitely love that he's doing that. But absolutely. So we got to ask you the $1 million question. So got prediction time. So who will win in these two matchups?
Oh man, as much as I've rooted and went for Cincinnati, I do think Alabama's still the better team ultimately. I don't think they cover though. I got Alabama 35-27 over Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a back and forth game, low scoring early, and then I think the second half those offenses are going to turn up. I just trust Will Anderson in that defense to get one more stop against Alabama, and I do think Brian Robinson becomes a factor in the run game late in the game, and I expect Alabama to use that big offensive line to wear down the front seven of Cincinnati because that is their weakness, is their front seven. Now, for Michigan, man, Michigan and Georgia, I've been riding with Michigan a lot this year. I picked them for multiple games that I don't think a lot of other people believed in them, but I'm still going to go with Georgia. I think they're so motivated after getting just slapped around against Alabama. They want that rematch. I'm going to take Georgia 20-14 over Michigan in a very, very close game. And I think this one is low scoring. Take the under, whatever it is. I think these defenses are going to show out. Both of these D coordinators are top notch. I know Dan Lanning just took the Oregon job, but he'll still be there as a co-D coordinator role. But I think it's a low scoring game, 20-14 Georgia.
Georgia, okay. Yeah, definitely. We did a poll here on with our guys, our couch coaches, our resting couch coaches. Let's see. We're gonna pull up that first graphic. Yeah, let me. So pretty much we had Alabama. A lot of people had them. That was a 63%. Shocking that 36% of votes did actually go to Cincinnati, and then also the other poll that we did. Surprisingly, a lot of people believing in Michigan. 68% voted for Michigan, and 31% voted for Georgia. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a two great, interesting games that'll be taking place on Friday. And like you said, we're just one step closer to the national championship, and that'll be very, very soon and on the 10th. So two gonna make it and two gonna go home, and
Oh man, I mean, you want to talk about chaos? Let Cincinnati and Memphis pull the. I mean, Cincinnati and Michigan pull the upset, man. You're going to be talking about pure college football chaos.
Ooh. And part of me is like, do people really want that or not? Like,
oh, I do.
So
As the sports guy, I want it, but I understand. I've heard the elitist argument. I want to watch good football. I don't think. I think if Cincinnati or Michigan win, I don't think you can argue that that's bad football because they beat two great teams in Alabama and Georgia. And then you're talking about Cincinnati having wins over Notre Dame and Alabama away from home, and Michigan beating Ohio State, Georgia, Iowa, Wisconsin. I mean, they got some strong wins. So I think any of these four teams, man, I would love to see in the national championship. I mean, just the storylines would be endless for any of them because Bama, Michigan, Harbaugh and Nick Saban press conference leading up to the national championship would be amazing. I mean, just Harbaugh getting there would be a whole storyline itself. And then, of course, you could have the rematch, Georgia versus Alabama.
Yep.
Everyone would love to see that. And then the rematch again, Georgia Cincinnati, who played last year, and it came down to the wire, and it was one of the best bowl games of last season. So there's storylines regardless of whoever wins. And I think, I'm going to be excited regardless, but I do think that right now that Georgia and Alabama are a notch above the other two teams as of right this second.
Yeah, and like you said, even if Cincinnati and Michigan, because you think about it, they earned this spot. Now, this ain't a situation where just because they essentially beat two teams that would have been here if they didn't beat them. You look at Notre Dame, I think if they wouldn't lost Cincinnati, they'd be in, and Ohio State would have been in by virtue of, obviously, if they would have beat Michigan, then go on to the Big Ten championship, then by far, they beat two teams that actually belong. If there was a 6-team playoff, their opponents that they beat would be in this playoff.
Exactly. I don't want to hear the narrative of anything if those two teams get there that it's like one of the worst national championships of all time. I mean, I'm going to be pumped to see Harbaugh. I mean, for Harbaugh versus Fickell, that would be a crazy battle, especially with Fickell's ties to Ohio State too. There'd be a little rivalry there as well. And then there's a lot of kids at Cincinnati who probably are spiteful that they didn't get recruited by Michigan. Because a lot of those kids come from Big Ten country, and they're probably it's just going to motivate them even more. Just like a few of them came out and said they're spiteful at Notre Dame for not recruiting them either when they played.
Mm-hmm.
So these those Cincinnati players are going to have a huge chip on their shoulder. And as we know, the underdog role is one that's very easy to relish in these moments. And so I think Michigan and Cincinnati are right where they want to be.
Exactly, right where they belong. But yes, indeed. So let's put a bow on this college football semifinal preview. So, Zach, man, where can they find you on social media and then any upcoming projects, anything that you got going?
Yeah, man, you can find us on all social media at @_Bluebloods, man. We got a bunch of player interviews coming. We just dropped our college football semifinal preview on Monday. We got more episodes coming tomorrow. We had to take a 2-day break as I had to move across, the country. So been driving, didn't have time to drop any episodes, but we got SWAC recruiting updates, FBS recruiting updates are coming after the season. And like I said, we got some great players coming, man. Some guys that were on some All-American lists, on the Walter Payton Award list. And as bowl games wrap up, man, we're going to be in touch with a few more guests. So make sure to subscribe. You can find us on YouTube at the Bluebloods. And like I said, social media at @_Bluebloods. But of course, check out Off the Ball Network and all the great shows on there as well, including you got Couch Coach, man. He's been doing it big. So appreciate you having me on, man.
Always a pleasure. And when it comes to, I always got to have you on. Like we said, if anything college football, we got to get you in. But yeah, definitely appreciate you. And also, it's definitely with everything that's going on, moving across country and having it, putting us, the little folks like myself, on your schedule.
Nah, man. I mean, you were like the first podcast I think had us on, man. We've been doing this going back like 2 years, man.
Yeah.
And anytime I see the Couch Coach notification pop up, the schedule's cleared automatically. Yeah. I'm like, that's my guy.
Big time. Yeah, big time. Always a pleasure for you, always coming on to the pod. Definitely appreciate it. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on the Couch Coach Live. Anyway, you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, with there as well. And definitely give a huge shout out to our good folks at Built Bar. Use our promo code Off the Ball, 10% off discounts. Go by that website and you can type in our promo code, and then also BetUS, and also we're powered by them as well. Sign up there at betus.com. Use the promo code Off the Ball in all caps. They'll give you a 125% sign up bonus. So I did the math. If you put 100 in, they're gonna give you 125. So the good folks there at BetUS and also Built Bar. And once again, appreciate you Zach, for coming on, and definitely appreciate it. Definitely looking forward to the slate of games and ending the year on a high note. So yeah,
absolutely, man. Anytime.
Yes, sir. No doubt. But yeah, all right, and we appreciate it one more time. And hey, enjoy the games, everyone. Be safe. Stuff going on out here. Hey, just chill, watch the games. Don't be in crowds. Just chill. Just relax, watch some football. Don't cause no crazy stuff. Hey, just relax, be safe. Have a great new year. We're gonna see you in 2022 and enjoy the football. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Couch Coach Live. And we out.